7 All-Americans, 1 dismissal, and a new wave of stars ready to make some noise. That's all coming up right now on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're new to the show, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you are an everydayer, you know how we do it here on Locked On. Exclusive Clemson content all throughout the week. And don't forget, you can also follow me over on X at The Morgan T Show, where we talk about all things Clemson whenever and however you want. We have a jam-packed show to talk about All-Americans, a player getting dismissed, and some big-time stars that we think will be big for 2025. But before we get into it, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So go check out FanDuel. Clemson made Phil Steele's All-American list. They didn't just make the list. They seem to own the list because respected college football analyst Phil Steele released his 2025 preseason All-American teams. And Clemson actually had 7 players honored in the first, second, and third teams, tied actually for the most in the country. The list includes familiar names like Cade Klubnik, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Blake Miller, Avion Terrell, Antonio Williams, and Wade Woodaz. It's national recognition for Clemson roster that we already know. If you are a fan of Locked On Clemson, if you're an everydayer, if you listen every day, if you tune in, if you follow me in all my antics, you already knew that Clemson's roster was stacked. If you're just a Clemson fan in general, you probably already knew that Clemson's roster was stacked, even without me telling you. So it's not a surprise that Cade Klubnik is on the list. He should be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. We're already hearing really good things. I talked about him last podcast episode about how he is doing great out there in California in the Elite 11, returning there. You know, he was an MVP there previously. So we know that Cade Klubnik has everything he needs to be the best version of himself in 2025. So there's no shock there. Peter Woods coming back from injury, going to be as healthy as possible. I think also he is a potential first-round draft pick. We talked about Cade Klubnik being one of those guys. But Peter Woods is definitely one of those guys that could be a potential first-round draft pick for the 2026 NFL draft class. Not to mention TJ Parker, sack machine, quarterback frustrator extraordinaire. He is going to get to the backfield and quick and in a hurry. And with the additions and the changes that Dabo Swinney has made, I think it's going to make Peter Woods better, going to make TJ Parker better, and they will be able to dominate as we always thought. Now, Blake Miller is another guy that always gets a ton of hype. If you know anything about me, I'm not the biggest hype man for Blake Miller. And a lot of that was Cade Klubnik's fault, just because they didn't work well together when Cade was trying to when he was going through his growing pains. Has Blake Miller settled in a little bit more? Have they been working well together? I hope so. But I think that one of the things that's always frustrated about me is a little bit weaker to the outside. When guys try to get around him, when they're faster, guys try to get around him, he's a little bit weaker. But I could see where you would put him as a All-American, preseason All-American player, because, I mean, not many guys can start as many games as him as a true freshman. So he's obviously talented. Whether or not I have some recency bias on things that I have seen, he is obviously extremely talented and well-deserving of that, and one of the better offensive linemen in the country. But then you have Avion Terrell, which a lot of people gave a lot of props to last season. I think he's going to continue to get better. A lot of people had also some doubts about him because could he be as good as his brother? And maybe he won't be as good as his brother, but he is definitely one of those guys that is very good. Will he be a first-round draft pick? Probably not. Will Blake Miller be a first-round draft pick? I don't think so. But both of those guys are going to be guys that are going to be one of the better position players in the conference of the ACC. Antonio Williams, we mentioned on the list. He is a guy who, you see some analysts saying that he is toying with possibly being a first-round draft pick. Now, I didn't see it. I don't know if he has that kind of production and body build to make it a long way in the NFL, but he is very good at college. And, can he take it to the next level and be a first-round draft pick NFL wide receiver? He's not an outside number one guy. So that kind of, I don't know if he would be a first-round draft pick. And then finally, Wade Woodaz at the linebacker position. Linebacker position is a very valued position in the NFL. Possibly could he have a great season where he shows out and got into the first round? Again, I don't know. Those are more on the edge there. But to me, Klubnik's got a great chance. Woods, Parker's got a great chance of being first-round draft picks in this upcoming NFL draft in 2020. Well, I say upcoming, but it's basically next season, next year, not this time, but April, right? Next year. So you've almost got a full year to get to it, but we've got a ton of All-Americans. That's the big headline. It's not a warning to the national media. It is showing everyone that, hey, Clemson has got one of the best rosters that they've had in recent memory, and they are finally being recognized as a true contender, and the national media is going to be behind them. So it's very exciting. Again, Cade Klubnik made first team, 3,600 plus yards, 36 touchdowns. I think he can be 10% better. I think he can get to 4,000 yards passing and 40 touchdowns. So as a returning quarterback in college football with numbers like that, you should be a Heisman finalist. I would not be surprised if Cade Klubnik is at that level. Peter Woods, TJ Parker, also first teamers. Clemson's D-line is going to be one of the best in the country, might even be the best in the country. Both guys, first-round draft picks, in my opinion. Blake Miller, second team. Avion Terrell, second team at corner. Could they move up into first teams by the end of the season? Maybe. And then Antonio Williams, third team. Wade Woodaz, third team. Those guys also. But as you see, it's sprinkled around in many different and very important positions. And this is what really matters for Clemson, because these players are the real deal. They're not just speculation. A lot of these guys, none of these guys are true freshmen. All these guys have proven themselves already. Some fans will go out there and say, well, Morgan, you're being too, some non-Clemson fans will probably say, Morgan, you're being putting too much value on Phil Steele. What does he really know? He just makes a magazine. And I get it. He's not always perfect. Nobody's perfect. But his projections are pretty accurate year after year compared to most. And his lists start to shape this media narrative that we'll see. And it's not just hype. To me, this adds to credibility of what we already know. You can't just say, we think Clemson has a great roster. Oh, you're just a fanatic. No, this is what other people are saying too. Clemson has one of the best rosters they've had in recent memory, and they have a chance to get to the national championship game and to the playoffs for sure. All-Americans also preseason All-Americans attract some ears perked up from scouts, from the media, and from recruits. Because most importantly, it validates what Dabo Swinney is doing through development, through recruiting, through development, and now through the portal. And he's not just chasing stars or throwing a ton of money at one guy who hasn't proven anything. He is bringing you in and developing you. 7 All-Americans, multiple guys that are in contention to be first-round draft picks in the NFL. Clemson is once again built like a big-time contender, one of the best teams in the country. And we're going to find out very, very early how good this roster is. Is it as good as Phil Steele thinks? Well, we'll find out against LSU, and Clemson's season will be on the line from day one. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about Clemson dismissing, not just that they have a bunch of big-time players, but they also dismissed one this week as well. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And also, you are getting a chance to get in on the action because FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game. Before tip-off and even when the game is live, they have player prop bets, performance trends, same game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Now, when I'm looking at, the research and the stats out there, the one thing that I keep going back to is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA. I mean, how many times is he going to quietly score 35 points? Now, I've been noticing they're moving up these numbers here up to 40-plus points with assists. I think he's going to get the assists. I think he'll get the 35. To me, 40 would be a little bit risky, but he has an opportunity in Game 7 this Sunday to cap off his MVP season with a championship winning night Sunday. So take a look at that. See what you think. There's a ton of things you can get into over on FanDuel. If you're new, it's the perfect time to sign up. I know it's the end. It's the NBA playoffs, but you still have time to get in on the action. Head over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If the bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Freshman athlete, Marquis Henderson, 4-star from BHP, Belton Honeypath, has been dismissed from the team. Clemson announced Thursday he enrolled in January, just in January, and was dealing with some hamstring issues during the spring and never really played a snap. So no details were really given to us, to the public, if you will, but it's expected that he'll try to find some other place to play. And really, if he'll give you any kind of insight on my opinion about it, it had nothing to do with depth. It had nothing to do with talent. I have a lot of people bringing up my old post about how electric he was and how he was a home run hitter. And he is definitely that. But what we're seeing is that this is really about discipline, both on the football field and off the football field, really not even the football field, but the practice facility. If you cannot be coachable, if you cannot have discipline, if you cannot do what's required of you, both on the football team and as a student athlete, then Dabo Swinney doesn't have much time for you. But I will say this. It didn't happen in February. It didn't happen in March. It didn't happen in April, and it didn't happen in May. So from what my understanding is, from the insider information that I've been told, is that they gave him many opportunities to be able to bounce back and change his path that he was going down. And at the end of the day, it goes back to culture over skill and ability and talent, team over individual. And unfortunately, Henderson just could not figure out what he needed to do and to do those things to be able to stay on the team. Now, I don't know his side of the story. All I know is what I've been told, kind of from inside information. But I will say it does seem to be more about culture and expectations and discipline than it was about true talent. If it was just talent alone, that's why they recruited him. That's why they wanted him. But unfortunately, he had minimal reps in the spring due to injury. So he really wasn't even kind of getting started much. Clemson really hasn't dismissed a player. Well, I think in recent memory, there was that scandal with TJ Dudley, who has now changed his name. But Dabo, I think when you really talk about, does he give you every opportunity possible? It all goes back to we're now in the middle of June and this happened. So while we wish him well, we hope that he can get things back on track. Honestly, anybody who's a young man, I have made many mistakes in my lifetime. I'm going to make more. And I'm closer to 40 now. But I know how it was when I was 20 or in my late teens. So I get it. You don't really know what you want or what you need to do until sometimes it's too late. But at the end of the day, Dabo had to do what he had to do. Would it have been great to have had him? Yeah. I mean, he's a home run hitter, in my opinion. I think if he found a spot on the offense, now I was told he wasn't going to be a running back. So, but I didn't expect him to be a wide receiver. So maybe he would have been a special teams monster returning kicks, which Clemson desperately needed. But unfortunately, not going to be able to see anything of a local talent. That's another thing too. A local guy, an in-state guy that you go in on and you show them that you're going to put your faith in them. Unfortunately, I wish him the best. Maybe he can find another opportunity somewhere else, maybe at a lower program or even an equal program at Clemson. Who knows? Somebody might be out there to give him a chance. I mean, it's never the end. You make one mistake. Hopefully he can rebound from that and learn from it. Now Clemson's wide receiver room in great shape. Running back room in great shape. Kickoff returner, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, maybe getting in Davidson, maybe in David Ezeamume, maybe even Jay Haynes, who they had in the past. Who knows? And they have some wide receivers you might throw in there as well. But I think Dabo did the right thing, giving him as much time as possible. We heard some frustrations back in March, heard frustrations in the spring. So gave him as much time as possible all the way till the middle of the summer, basically. And Clemson operated, I think, in a good way, held the standard, met the standard, and stayed true to their values and keeping the locker room strong, hopefully. But, again, it's not about beating up a guy for making a mistake. It's really about hoping that they can improve in the future and learn from this because, like I said, we've all really made huge mistakes in our lives. I mean, it just sometimes that's the best teacher in life, right? And players, Dabo's doing the right thing. I think, again, you look at the running back room, Randall, Davidson, Ezeamume, Jay Haynes. Maybe I'm missing a guy who you would think would maybe fit in a kickoff returner type role. I don't even know if Henderson was even being looked at that because, again, he didn't really have any snaps, so we had nothing to go off of. And nobody was really talking about him at all either. So it's an unfortunate situation for sure. Clemson still has a ton, I mentioned earlier, All-American guys. And really the biggest question mark for me is the kickoff returning game, the punt returning game, and the running back. How are they going to be able to maneuver field position in these ways? Can they do it successfully? We'll see. Now, I want to get into next segment, the final segment of the show, final segment of the week, getting into some guys that I looked at, with Henderson gone, I wanted to look at, okay, he was the 2025 class. Let's see what the 2024, 2025. So there's sophomore and freshman. Let's look at the list of those guys and let's go down the list together. And I'll give you my just quick, instant reaction to how much of an impact that they can make on the team, these freshmen and sophomore guys for 2025. Now, a lot of them have already made an impact as a freshman. So those guys are going to be the easy ones on my list. But there's some guys that are still out there that were kind of scratching your head like, maybe they will get their opportunity, either the freshmen or the now rising sophomores, or even, I guess, not even rising sophomores. Some of them may be redshirt freshmen. So I'll look at the 2024, 2025 recruiting class as a whole, player by player, and I'll give you my breakdown of what I think or who I think the players are that will be instant impact guys. And you could let me know as well. Clemson has brought in a ton of talent from the 2024, 2025 classes. Not everybody is instantly ready to make a huge impact on the team. That's for sure. Every fan loves signing day. I love signing day. But once spring practice comes in, early enrollment comes in, and only a handful of players can actually even early enroll. Clemson does, I think, better than most in getting a ton of guys in to enroll early. But there'll be some that have to wait till the summer to come in, and they only get the fall. And if they're not up to speed quick or even up to height and weight measurables, then they got to wait around. So there's a few guys that get to be instant impact guys, and there's a few guys that have to kind of sit around and wait. And I'm not saying sit around and wait in a negative way, and that's not actually what they do. They shouldn't be doing anyways. They should be in the background when the lights aren't on them, when everybody is not buying their jersey, putting in the work when we can't see it. But there are definitely some guys that are turning heads and have already turned heads. So we'll look back. Let's look back at the list of 2024 commitments that Clemson had, and I'll kind of give you a quick idea of who I'm thinking tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 kind of guys. Tier 1 being instant impact guys if they're not already. Tier 2 being guys that should rotate in. Tier 3 being guys we'll kind of have to wait and see a little more of that kind of, not yet guys. So when you look at the list, I'm going over 24/7. You can follow along with me, but Sammy Brown, kind of hard to say nothing but what he's already done on the field. I mean, I can't add any more or less to it. 5-star guy, number 2 position player in his class, and by far, met every expectation that we were looking for. I mean, the biggest frustration we had from Sammy Brown was that he didn't play enough. We wanted him to play even more in the Georgia game. We wanted him to play even more at the end of the season, and that was a big Wes Goodwin botch, So Sammy Brown, I think, has to be tier 1. So out of your total 22 guys, you got 1 there. TJ Moore, another 5-star guy, big impact guy, instant impact. Again, another guy that we would have liked to see more early on. Bryant Wesco, almost a 5-star guy, but definitely to that potential. 8th best or 11th best at wide receiver. TJ Moore was the 4th best wide receiver, and both of those guys have lived up above and beyond. So I would say 3 guys so far, your top 3 guys have been absolute hits for your program. Now, that's probably one of the best, recruiting hits at the top guys that they've had in recent memory, because, some of their top guys really didn't work out right after those national championship games. You know what I mean? But Sammy Brown, TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, definitely. Christian Bentancur, I'm going to say rotational potential. I'll give him tier 2. Okay. Maybe if he wasn't getting any rotation, he would definitely be tier 3 future star, but not yet. I don't know where he's going to fit in now with Ian Shefflin in the mix. Patrick or Josh Sapp definitely deserves some opportunity, and OPH deserves a lot as well because they have put in a lot of work. Darren Mayo, love the guy, 6'7". You can't miss him when he's out there. I'm going to put him, you would love to see him at rotational potential tier 2 by this point. I'm still kind of thinking that he's more of a future than he is rotational at this point. He's definitely not instant impact. Can't really see it. Corian Gibson, I'm hearing a lot of good things about him. He's going to be rotational potential. Elijah Thurman, he could be one of those guys that could be instant impact starter guys. He's already gotten that opportunity as Marcus Tate was injured, and then he got injured. So I think he jumps right back into it. So your first couple of, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, first 7 guys are guys that you're not hating. your top 7 guys from the 2024 recruiting class, you're not hating at all. You're loving most of those. You're really loving all those guys. Tavoy Fagan, not even on the team anymore, so you're not loving that. Noah Dixon, he's still in the not yet potential for me, but he is definitely a guy that people say, hey, don't forget about him. When he's ready, he's going to pop. So I like Noah Dixon, but we'll see. Wait and see for him. David Eziomume had a great spring. So I'm going to say rotational potential, possibly even instant impact. I did a whole video series on him or a whole podcast on him because of how great of a spring he did, not forgetting him. Heaven Brown Schuler, I think future star for me. Not yet. Champ Thompson, not yet for him. Ronan O'Connell, I don't know. I hear some hype, but to me, not yet. Ashton Hampton, he is tier 1 instant impact. He has vaulted into being a starter. You know, a 3-star guy that was kind of a diamond in the rough that you're going to shoot up to the top. You're already talking about, we're close to saying half the roster of the 2024 recruiting class is, the glue is there. And the future stars are there. And even the guys that are impacting now is there. This 2024 class was really, really good as far as how often they hit on the guys, even the lower rated guys. Drew Woodaz, not yet. We don't know. Mason Wade, we don't know. CJ Kuba Taylor, we don't know. Watson Young, we don't know. Joe Wilkinson, we don't know. Nolan, gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Nolan Hoosier, he is going to, I mean, he's already a starter. So best kicker at his position in his recruiting class. So I'm putting him up there as another winner as well. It's so weird when you read his name, you want to say it the other way, but anyways. And then Ricardo Jones, I think actually he could have an instant impact. He's going to have to be thrown into that safety position big time because, I mean, they have a need for sure there. And then Adam Kassé is not even on the team. So, you know, really still a lot of guys that are on the team, a lot of guys that have made a huge impact. I would say 50 to 60% of the 2024 class are guys that were hits. Isn't that crazy to think? And when you look at the 2024 class, I think it was kind of like, it wasn't a bad class overall. 15th, you know, it's kind of weird considering how good that class has shaped up to be. I wonder what the re-rank of that class will be, to be honest with you. A lot better than 15th, you'd got to think, right? A lot of tier 1 guys, tier 2 guys, and some tier 3 as well. 2025 was a 28th overall rank, so not as good. But Amari Adams, I'm hearing that he's going to have to he's getting forced to be in rotation. Hard to say if he's going to be instant impact because he's so young, but, and the fact that they got a transfer portal guy, so you're thinking he might not be they're not thinking he's an instant impact guy, but he's definitely a rotational guy. Braden Jacobs, man, aren't we hearing a lot of good things about him? I'm going to say probably not instant impact guy, but rotational for sure. Gideon Davidson, I know what you want me to tell you. Instant impact guy, and I'm definitely going to tell you that. Instant impact guy. Marquis Henderson, not even on the team anymore. Unfortunate. Easton Ware, I'd say wait and see. Ari Watford, he could get in there and get in a rotation as well. Logan Anderson, I think he's not yet. Logan Brooking, not yet. Juju Preston, not yet. Jakarian Keenan, not yet. Rowan Byrne, not yet. Chris Denson, not yet. And Gavin Blanchard, not yet. Makai Williams-Lee, not yet. Tucker Caddis, not yet. That's why, this 2025 class doesn't have to really be superstars out the gate, Now, if some of them are, then that'll be great. But it kind of seemed like that's why there was a little bit of supplement from the transfer portal. The transfer portal pickup, one of the best in the country. Tristan Smith, he should be a rotational guy, possibly even an instant impact guy based on what we saw in the spring. Will Helt, instant impact guy. And Jeremiah Alexander, rotational, possibly instant impact guy as well. So the transfer portal pickup, which is, are you not shocked that I'm even saying the transfer portal pickup here? But that was huge for Clemson to be able to do that. So really, really exciting to see what the Tigers have. The 2024 class looks great. The 2025 class has got a lot of question marks, but we haven't seen them yet. So it's a little bit easier to evaluate guys that we've already seen. But still super excited. Hey, again, let me know what you think. It's not just a show about me. I'd love to get your thoughts and opinions as well over in the comments on YouTube, or if you're listening on podcast, you can always check me out over on X at The Morgan T Show. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan of the rapid changes to college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you next week, and we'll see you at the top of the hill.